Well, my friends, just like my 2-0 Seattle Seahawks are doing this season, they're going all in for the win, and now they're going to go all out. It's first place Seahawks, Tomas. I couldn't be in a better mood right
all
now.
In, AEW all out, AEW all around. When are we going to get AEW in between?
Yeah, we better get AEW in between. Book it, Tony. Book it, Tony.
We haven't gotten like AEW Texas Hold'em, AEW Blackjack. AEW. If WWE didn't own the rights, they could have done AEW fully loaded.
What about AEW 7-card stud low hold wild?
Yeah. Actually, I was thinking about that because the Vegas gimmicks. What would be a cool name for a pay-per-view? Russian roulette.
Yeah, what would be a cool name for a pay-per-view? WrestleMania Las Vegas. Oh wait, they're kind of already doing that. They're already doing that, and we're gonna go to that. We're gonna spend a lot of our hard-earned cash going to WrestleMania, probably also blowing some of the gambling table, but we're not talking about WrestleMania right now. We're talking about AEW All Out for the 5th straight year. Came to us from CM Punk's favorite city, Chicago, Illinois. I wonder if Bryan Danielson went to Mindy's Bakery after the show.
Only if they have vegan options.
Only if they had vegan options, which I'm sure they do, because Mindy's Bakery, I hear, is a great place in Chicago if you want pastries and baked goods. I suggest you try them. But, yeah. I mean, again, there's still a few people who haven't really moved on from the CM Punk drama who are on this card, but thankfully thankfully his presence was not as felt here as it was at All In.
You think it's time to move the market?
Yeah.
Like move this pay-per-view out of Chicago.
How about the San Jose? That would be awesome.
That's just another thing with AEW. I feel like they need to start broadening their horizons when it comes to these pay-per-views. I get it, Double or Nothing, and I get the UK thing they got going on right now. Those are great deals. But I don't know. It's like the All Out in Chicago thing is kind of played out. We're getting a Dynamite in San Jose, which is going to be really fun. I got my ticket to that. That's going to be super fun to see all the fallout from All Out here. I thought this was a very good show. For the second year in a row, I thought All Out was a stronger show than All In. I feel like because it's crazy how these thrown together All Outs just end up being so much more exciting and so much better quality-wise. And also, this is an 8-match show.
Yeah.
It's not a 15-match card, a 16-match card, an 18-match card. It's a regular-ass pay-per-view.
See, Tony? You don't have to overload us with 32, 33 match extravaganzas. It feels like we got our money's worth with All Out this year. Yeah. And I think the reason why a lot of people prefer, All Out over All In, just in general, this year in particular, it really felt like this pay-per-view was upping the darkness factor. Holy shit, there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened here. And stuff that is just blood-curdling, unsettling. You probably haven't felt this unsettled since, The Undertaker and his Ministry of Darkness days. This is some wacko shit.
They definitely pushed the envelope with this show, and it's a perfect segue into our opening contest. In a grudge match, it's Maxwell Jacob Friedman taking on Daniel Garcia. We talked about this at All In. Garcia practically cost MJF the international championship against Will Ospreay. Said he went through all these lengths just to make sure MJF didn't win the title, and that's because MJF just beat the fuck out of Daniel Garcia in the build up to All In, and Garcia is out for blood. I love this iteration of Daniel Garcia. This is a babyface you want to cheer for, and Daniel Garcia, just the mannerisms he was having in his promos, saying things like, "It's my fetish to make you miserable. It's my fetish to hurt you." I do love the level of personal heat that are in these matches. And this is just such a great feud to get Daniel Garcia over, because this is the Daniel Garcia we've been just pining for the past couple of years. We saw glimmers of it when we thought he was going to turn on Chris Jericho in the Jericho Appreciation Society. That never fell through. And there was a point where we said it on this channel that he was becoming Alex Wright 2.0. But I mean, like that Tony Khan really booked him in a rivalry he could really sink his teeth into, and he's just showing what a great babyface he is. I love what Daniel Garcia is doing right now, and we'll talk about it now, and we'll talk about it with the finish. Is Daniel Garcia potentially jumping ship to WWE? It feels a little uncertain what his contract status is going to be, but his contract is up, and as of this show, he has yet to put pen to paper. So it does have a lot of people just, putting their 2 cents in of what they think Garcia's future is going to be.
So, yeah, no, you bring up a really excellent point, and that is actually the whole reason why Daniel Garcia lost this match, is because the original idea was to put Daniel Garcia over, but since he did not sign a new contract, AEW decided to play it safe and give MJF the big fluky win with an inside cradle. But I'm going to actually say that Daniel Garcia is not going anywhere. I think Tony Khan values him too much. I think their friendship is still very strong. I don't want to say I'm like certain about that, but I'm not overly confident about saying that, but I'm not gonna be overly confident in saying that he's jumping to WWE either, because WWE is poaching a lot of AEW folks right now, with the Lucha Brothers on their way. Ricky Starks is probably on his way. The Motor City Machine Guns are probably on their way. So
no, it is confirmed. Motor City Machine Guns have signed
are they really
contract with WWE, and
holy
they are
shit
set to make their NXT debut soon. Very soon. That's going to be something super crazy to look forward to.
Wow.
But I will go as far as saying this was an excellent opener. These guys got 23 minutes, and honestly, I noticed halfway through the match that these guys were given a lot of time. I thought these guys gelled together very well. The personal heat was there, and I think these guys just had excellent chemistry in this match. This was a great
They
opener.
totally did. They totally did. MJF is still one of the most well-rounded performers and most well-rounded wrestlers on the planet. Daniel Garcia is a star in the rise, finally getting the push that we thought he was going to get 2 years ago. MJF bites Garcia in the face and makes Garcia bleed. And that's going to be a recurring theme throughout All Out. You want to talk about darkness? There's a lot of blood on this show. Lots of blood spilling out, and this is just the opening contest.
I know I'm the first person to always say, AEW, you don't need blood in every match, but I do think there are a lot of matches on this card that warranted it. And I do think if you want to get this feud as over as you want to, the blood was necessary. I think in pro wrestling right now, there's a severe lack of feuds and storylines that don't involve a championship. So if you can get a feud or a storyline that doesn't involve a championship over to this level, you do have to give a reason for the fans to care this much. And again, I think Garcia is very endearing as a babyface.
Totally.
MJF, he slips into this heel role like nothing has ever changed. I do think MJF is versatile enough that if he did want to go babyface again, he would be very over, but just sliding back into the heel role just tends to work for him. And I think MJF is really at that veteran status where he had that legendary run with the AEW World title. He can go into these feuds, win or lose, and put people over. Look what he did with Will Ospreay in the short build that they had going into All In. He won a championship and dropped it in the span of a month, and his stock hasn't dropped.
No.
So I love MJF's role in the company right now.
And the title, more importantly, that stock has not dropped. The title hasn't lost an ounce of prestige at all. MJF and Garcia actually do trade a lot of really good submission holds in this contest here. MJF locks in a Walls of Jericho, which was interesting. It's a nod to both guys' former mentors from the Inner Circle and from the JAS, respectively. Daniel Garcia also locks in the Yes Lock at a certain point. I don't know why. It was a weird tribute to Daniel Bryan right there. Dragon Tamer submission, sharpshooter, good stuff going on here. There's a Panama Sunrise at one point. Garcia, this is going to be another recurring theme, Tomas, but there is an overabundance of tombstone pile drivers on this show. I'm sure if you were to show this pay-per-view to The Undertaker and he saw how many people are kicking out of his finisher, he would be livid. He'd be absolutely livid.
That's my only issue with this match. I feel like it's an issue in pro wrestling, and I can't even say other than WWE because a lot of people are complaining about Damian Priest's use of the Razor's Edge and how it's a setup move. You just look at all these iconic finishers that we grew up with, and they're nothing but setup moves now. I think, personally, in my opinion, the Tombstone Piledriver should be off limits.
Yeah.
But here we have all these indie guys doing it. I think in a really good match, this was my only issue with it, is that the Tombstone was used a little too much. And I know that's a move in MJF's repertoire, but I don't know. It's a personal preference thing. I think the Tombstone should be off limits.
Yeah, well, if you're going to use the Tombstone, don't land on your ass like Owen Hart did and broke Stone Cold's neck. Just don't do that. If you're going to do the tombstone, it's a safe enough move where it looks devastating, but make sure you land on your knees, guys. It's not that hard. But Garcia and MJF, like, good finish here.
Boston, how he feels about a sit-out pile driver.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like a sit-out pile driver almost ended his career. Yeah.
Rikishi used a sit-out pile driver. That thing was nasty.
The Rikishi driver? Oh, yeah. But at least, like, the opponent's head was not in between his fat legs. Yeah. And, like, he never really broke anybody's neck. Yeah, so that looked fucking gnarly.
I guess I could say the only other issue I had with this match was the finish.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get it. It's just, would it kill you to use a finisher?
That's another thing. Yeah, Garcia was on a roll. MJF hides behind the referee, and then he takes Daniel Garcia to Dick Kick City, and then he applies a jackknife pin. 1, 2, 3. MJF gets the fluky win. 23-minute match. As a match itself, in a vacuum, I thought it was excellent. I'm going to go 4.25 stars. Really good opener. The crowd really wasn't all that much into it until the very end, which is odd for a grudge match. But then I think, go ahead.
I wish that was a line you used a couple weeks ago, because you could have said the crowd wasn't all in.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, they weren't
going all out for this show, for this match either.
Yeah, no, they weren't really going all out for this match quite yet. They were still kind of getting warmed up. But I feel like another key issue with this is Daniel Garcia's road to actually get here. I understand him getting beat the shit out of by Max on the build to this, but if you're going to build up Daniel Garcia as a legitimate threat to a former world champion, one win against him on pay-per-view isn't going to cut it. And I understand that AEW has, like, done away with, like, recording the records of everybody. Wins and losses, I guess, don't matter in AEW anymore. But I have the same problem with Solo Sikoa on the other side. Nobody's exempt here. This side, to a lesser extent, because Daniel Garcia, like, you know, there's at least a pretty hefty blood-fueled story, and he wants, like, nothing but revenge, and there's no title on the line. But wouldn't it have not hurt Daniel Garcia, like, to get some wins in the build-up to this? Because I actually looked it up. I looked it up, Tomas. Let me finish. He did not win a match since last June. Hasn't won a match since June. Like,
yeah, this was definitely a good opportunity to put Garcia on Dynamite on the weekly to rack up some wins. Because I will say, Garcia kind of coming out of nowhere and starting this MJF feud is an issue that AEW has. I feel like the feuds that are going into pay-per-views need to feature talent that are consistently featured on TV. And when I say consistently featured on TV, I'm talking about Dynamite.
Yeah.
I'm really talking about Dynamite. Sure, Collision, if they are featured every single week, but I'm not talking about Rampage. I'm not talking about Ring of Honor. I'm talking about their flagship show, because I feel like I made the comparison of AEW is kind of in their attitude era phase right now. You know, SmackDown back in like 99, 2000, 2001, there was a going on in that show, but the premier storyline feuds were going on Monday Night Raw, and SmackDown was a continuation of that feud. They need to feature guys that they want to push on Dynamite, and I feel like Daniel Garcia kind of came out of nowhere. I think he's very well established now, but just, I definitely agree with what you're saying. But even though I'm going to give the match 4 stars, I thought it was an excellent opener, and I really did enjoy this match.
Yeah.
If you're all peeved that Garcia didn't pick up the victory here, I think the aftermath of this match really helped Garcia hang on to the momentum that he had, because MJF goes for a handshake. And being the scumbag that we all know and love, Garcia should not fall for this, but Garcia falls for it. Garcia goes for the handshake, and as MJF is trying to walk away, Garcia still got him held on. And he just fucking wallops the shit out of MJF, starts just laying down haymakers on him. And then he takes him to the second rope and delivers a tombstone pile driver, which is pretty damn devastating. Afterward, the commentators were, I'll get to the commentators in a second. The commentators are basically saying, like, regardless of what we feel about MJF, we don't want to see a wrestler go through this. I don't think it was that bad, if I'm being honest, compared to the other stuff we saw on the show. But I thought it was a good way to keep Garcia's momentum going and to keep the feud going. And let me talk about the commentators now.
Here we go.
Fucking stand these 4-man booths. We have Taz, Nigel McGuinness, Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and for this match, Daddy Magic.
Yeah, well, Daddy Magic
for Matt Menard.
Well, here's the thing, though. Matt Menard, Daddy Magic on commentary as a color guy, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Like, I think once he hangs up his wrestling boots later on in his life, if he wants to become a color commentator, if he wants to stay in the business, I think he's pretty good at it, man. Like, I don't think he's shit the bed at all.
Against Matt Menard's ability to be a commentator, it's just it's funny. Let me share a quick story with you. Over the weekend, my good friend, had her gender reveal party, and I got the tail end of it after my show, and I met a guy there who's super into wrestling, and we were talking about All Out, and we were talking about just the horrendous commentary setup that AEW has. If it were up to me, if I was Tony Khan and I had the book, and we were starting AEW from scratch, Excalibur and Schiavone. That's all I need.
Yeah. 2 play-by-play guys?
Well, Excalibur's like Corey Graves. He can do color.
Yeah. I mean, like, Excalibur is a really funny heel commentator, too. If you've ever seen him, like, in 2014 ROH, he's really, really funny as a heel. Like,
I don't need Taz. I really don't. JR needs to retire. I'm sorry. And then you look at the other myriad of commentators we've had over the years. Your Paul Whites, your Mark Henrys, your Chris Jericho's. I don't need any more. Excalibur and Schiavone are my guys when it comes to AEW.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly right.
This is great. He's really good.
Not Taz.
Taz stopped being a good commentator for me when he left WWE. I'm not saying because being a WWE shill. I'm just saying never enjoyed his TNA stuff, and I know I'm in the minority, but I just think he's been so unnecessary in AEW.
Stopped being funny. He stopped being funny, but good measure of revenge for Daniel Garcia at the end. I'm in the camp that feels like he should have won. Like, if you're really going to propel him to the next level, pull a Money in the Bank on us. Like, have him be Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes. Just have him pin MJF right here. MJF was not going to be hurt by a loss at all. He is a made man. So him taking a loss here, putting Daniel Garcia over, I don't think it would have hurt MJF in the slightest. But again, logistically speaking, with Daniel Garcia not signing a new AEW contract at the time of this pay-per-view, I get why they did it. But I mean, like, if he had signed that contract, no excuse to not put him over. That's just my 2 cents. But anyway,
obviously the feud isn't over, so I'm going to have faith in this feud, and I do think Garcia is going to come out of this on the winning side. Because people were saying, they're not going to have MJF lose two in a row. I'm like, I think MJF is in a good spot. He might be the Randy Orton of AEW. I know that's a crazy statement to make, but I think, even though AEW is only 5 years old, he's done a lot in those 5 years. And I think he is in a spot where he could lose a few here and there, and it's not going to hurt his stock. Considering he's in AEW for the long run, there's only so much you can do. Like, I'm sure he'll win the world title again. I'm sure he's going to be in a lot of great money-making feuds. But, I don't think he's in I don't think he's in that era where he needs to be protected 24/7 anymore.
Yeah. I'm totally with you, man. And the fact that MJF, also to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, the fact that he's only 28 years old and that he's got his whole fucking career ahead of him, like, it's astonishing to think about how much he's done and how much he still has yet to accomplish. So
I'm sorry, I'm going to say, I think that's what I'm going to go with from now on. He is the Randy Orton of AEW.
Yeah.
Because when did Randy Orton start wrestling? When he was like 23 years old?
22, 23, yep. Mm-hmm.
Look at this, 23 years later, and he just main evented a pay-per-view for a world title.
Yeah. Ain't that crazy. Yeah. Come back to the ZNT Wrestling show in 23 years when MJF is wrestling at AEW All In his retirement match in 23 years. I don't know. Just throwing something out there. Tomas calls me the Nostradamus of wrestling predictions. So, hey, I'm telling you what wrestling's going to look like in 23 years. Anyway, Up next, for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Oh, God. So, okay, the Young Bucks, the Evie Petties, are defending their titles in Chicago against Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, who just won the Trios titles with Pac. Is it safe to say that these Trios titles are just set dressing now? If the Trios really champions are challenging for the tag titles now?
Considering we had such a fun match at All In for the Trios titles, and it doesn't really even feel like they made the Trios titles be a big deal on that show, but just 2 weeks later, and you have all three members challenging for separate titles. It's just like, Tony Khan, don't act like you don't have the talent in AEW to have a solid and healthy Trios division.
Clearly.
Like, say what you want about the women's tag team division in WWE. Triple H has still at least put the effort. You look at the teams we have now, with like Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill.
Pure Fusion Collective.
They're only them if there was Sonya Deville.
The Pure Fusion Collective.
Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Like, he's actually making an effort to make some solid women's tag teams. I think that's the equivalent to the Trios division in AEW. Like, when the Trios titles were made because there were a ton of Trios in AEW. There was the Elite, there was the Death Triangle, there was House of Black, there was Top Flight, and I feel like they were joined by somebody else. There was like a lot of solid trios, but it just feels like now we're just throwing guys together to keep this title alive. And when they absorbed Ring of Honor, they also have their set of six-man tag team titles. So it's like, hey, Tony Khan, remember when NXT and NXT UK just fused all their titles together because NXT UK is no longer a thing? You might start want to do that.
You might want to start scaling back on how many belts you fucking have in your company.
Yeah. But especially when every single pay-per-view I see, Mark Briscoe is challenging for a different title.
Yeah, Mark Briscoe is challenging for a mid-card championship when he's the world champion in Ring of Honor. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But I think we're jumping the gun a little.
Words of Taz, we digress.
And banana juice, Cole. Banana juice.
Call
it's soup bones,
dude.
It's soup bones.
The match, dude.
Are you Taz?
The freaking match.
Hold on. Are you Taz or are you Hulk Hogan now, dude?
Taz,
brother.
Oh, you didn't see that crazy spot him and Shivani had on Dynamite like a couple months ago?
Where no.
Taz got really heated because Shivani straight up looked at Taz and said, "Call the match, dude." And Taz was like, "I am calling the freaking match. Don't freaking call me dude.
Hey, I don't have.
Why don't you do yours?"
I don't really have time to watch Dynamite on a weekly basis anymore, so that's probably why I didn't know about that. Anyway.
I watched that episode and it went over my head, so...
Fair enough. Well, these four are good wrestlers. I feel... I'm at the point now in my life where 4 years ago, I was saying the Young Bucks were the greatest tag team to walk the face of the planet. Now I'm sitting here, and I'm like, if you've seen one Young Bucks match, you've probably seen them all. They're not who they were 10 years ago.
I feel like my dislike from the Young Bucks is entirely different from your dislike of the Young Bucks, and it's because watching them over the years, watching them in Ring of Honor, watching them in PWG, I always thought they were a fine enough tag team. I always felt like they loved stirring the pot online, especially when they really started getting over, when they started getting the super kick party over, when they were tweeting guys like Shawn Michaels saying like little snarky remarks like, "Man, how'd you put guys down with only one of these? It usually takes us like 20 to put people down with the super kick." Or when he tweeted Mark Henry and said, "Hey, thanks for the shout out on TV," all because Mark Henry on an episode of SmackDown said, "I'm tired of all these Young Bucks." And then
forgot about that.
AEW, again, thought they were a fine enough tag team. I thought they were fun to watch, but something about them always rubbed me the wrong way. And their current status and their current run, I think what rubs me the wrong way about them is that they have gone out of their way, which was a smart decision, to create this EVP gimmick to get themselves cheap heat, to, you know, kind of capitalize on the, "Oh, you want to boo me? Then I'm going to give you a reason to boo me" kind of aspect of it. But when you hold these tag team titles hostage and you're using the gimmick as an excuse to hold them hostage, it's like the Brock Lesnar effect. That's when I get upset.
Yeah.
And my issue with this match is, I've always said this, is that I used to think that AEW had the best tag team division in the world. But now Tony Khan has severely neglected it. that I'm looking here going, why are Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta challenging for these titles? This was very thrown together. I think
Doesn't
it was
make
thrown
sense.
together on the Dynamite before All Out. And if you're going to do this, I don't even think the tag team titles needed to be defended on this show.
Yeah.
It was a fine match, but I can see a fine match every week on Dynamite. There was nothing memorable about this match. The only memorable thing that I could say is when Claudio Castagnoli did the spot that he used to do with Tyson Kidd. And that's do the Claudio swing leading into the low drop kick.
Yes, and Wheeler, I think, is a great partner for him, too.
Yeah, but if that's the most memorable thing about this match, again, it wasn't bad, but I'll say it right now. I gave it like 3.25 stars.
Yeah, I went 3. You were generous. Yuta ended up hitting an angle slam on one of the Evie Petties at one point, which I popped for.
Yuta slam.
Well, Claudio also was the hot tag guy because everybody loves Claudio. And then he has Matt by the legs, and he's like, get ready for the big swing! And then, 20 swings, 20 revolutions. And to your point, Yuta is in the Tyson Kidd spot doing that low drop kick. And
also, have you noticed? It's crazy what Claudio Castagnoli can do if you just let him have a personality. Because if you see his online persona, this dude is dripping with personality. And it's great that he's in a place where he can actually show it off.
Cesaro's so damn funny, man. Like, Vince did not know what he had. Claudio, there's a point where
I know. When you meet him, you're going to ask him what his current setup in Clash of the Clans is.
Well, what color do you want, Claudio? what color do you want? I'm gonna pull the same.
Play Uno with him. I've seen him.
No, I don't want to play Uno with Claudio. He would murder me. Like, you lose friends playing Uno. That's what happens. You showed no mercy.
You lose friends playing SpongeBob. What's that?
Called? Eels and escalators.
Yeah, you lose friends playing that game.
God, that was so frustrating. I remember that night. Yeah. I remember. Okay. Claudio launches Yuta off the top. Matt gets his knees up and pins Yuta with an inside cradle after blocking a flying nothing.
I hate that fucking spot so much. And really? 2 knees to the gut beats you?
No, the Bucks have the most lethal legs in the business. More lethal than the Lethal Weapon Steve Blackman, remember?
But also, earlier in the match, the Bucks hit the TK driver, I think, on Yuta. And that's not the finish?
Did they hit a Meltzer driver on him? I don't know. I don't think they...
They at least attempted the TK driver.
I don't think they did. I think they did.
I think they did. They at least attempted it.
Yeah. I mean, I believe you.
It was an underwhelming finish to a very underwhelming match. It was fine, like I said, but I can see a fine match every week on Dynamite.
It was there. There. That's the best I can really say about it.
It wasn't just a fine match. This was a damn fine match.
Oh my God.
An excellent match. This was a match between 2 of my favorite wrestlers in AEW right now. You have the other third of the Trios champions, Pac, challenging Will Ospreay for the AEW International Championship. And I loved the build to this match because
it was so good.
As a Pac mark and as someone who thinks he's been severely underutilized in AEW. So after Ospreay regained the International Championship, Ricochet had his debut match on Dynamite defeating Kyle Fletcher. And Ospreay comes out for the big stare down. It looks like we're going to get it. And then Pac comes out of nowhere and he blasts Ospreay from behind. He grabs the mic and says, "Don't you fucking dare forget about me. At All Out, I'm getting my championship match." There's this great video package before the match where Pac basically addresses, I won the Casino Gauntlet match to get an international championship match. And Will Ospreay just weasels his way into London, taking my shot away. So I'm going to walk into All Out. I'm going to walk into Chicago, and I'm going to beat you for that championship because I'm a bastard.
He's not just the bastard. He's the forgotten bastard. Forgotten bastard.
Oh, God. It's so good.
Yeah.
That is so fucking good. And
pissed off.
You knew going into this was just going to be 100 moves a minute, crazy spots. Pac selling is out of this world. Will Ospreay is the perfect combination of he's a spot machine and he's a storytelling machine. Because every single big time match this guy has, there's a story going into it. And this was just straight up, just not a blood feud, but more just like a Ospreay's trying to weather the storm that is Pac. Pac's a little Tasmanian devil and trying to weather that storm.
Is it too cliche to say right now that Will Ospreay bell to bell is the best wrestler in the world right now?
Oh, every single match I see him, I believe it more and more.
Like this guy,
our Bryan Danielsons, our AJ Styles's, our Kurt Angles, our CM Punks, like Ospreay, I would put in that, our Kenny Omegas, I would put Ospreay in that same crop of people.
Yeah.
And this was one of the best decisions Tony Khan ever made. Because Will Ospreay is going to be the top babyface in this company. I do believe Bryan Danielson is going to be the one to hand the keys to the kingdom over to Will Ospreay.
Yeah. Ospreay going to be the guy to take the belt from Danielson. Danielson should hold that belt for at least 6 months at this point.
I wouldn't say that. I would just say when it's all said and done, because I feel like Bryan Danielson is your de facto top babyface in AEW right now, even though he's been winding down for the past year or so. But when it's all said and done, the keys are going to go straight to Ospreay, and Ospreay is going to carry this company on his back for like the next 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Will Ospreay is the reason that AEW is quote-unquote must-see television right now. Really elevating that prestige of the international title that has been so highly elevated ever since Orange Cassidy was holding onto that belt, and he lost it at this very event last year in the main event to Jon Moxley. That belt is probably, aside from the world title, the most valuable prize that you can get in AEW. It's that, like, those matches.
It's a working man's title.
For the international title, yeah, that's the equivalent to what the IC title is in WWE. So different inter title, different inter working man's title. The crowd very much behind Will Ospreay in this thing. Like, is anybody really all that surprised? Pac is a forgotten bastard, and nobody knows to cheer for him. But
hey, if I was in that crowd, I'd be the one saying both these guys.
Oh yeah, well the crowd eventually like figured it out, and they did start chanting both these guys at them. But it felt to me like there was a standing ovation before these guys even locked up. Like these guys were, it was very incredibly hyped. Two Englishmen who are fantastic at their craft, and their chemistry was out of this fucking world.
New Zealand?
I don't think he is. No, he's from fucking England, isn't he? Newcastle upon Tyne. He's British.
Hold on, I need to fact check this. Not that you're wrong. I'm just curious for my sake.
He is he is absolutely British. Well, that's why he won in Wembley, because Tony wanted to give him the big moment in his home country.
Oh yes, you're right.
See. I wouldn't lie.
I wasn't doubting you. I was looking up for my sake because I was severely confused.
So another part of the story is that you also see Ricochet watching the match on television backstage. I wonder if he paid the $50 fee to actually watch this match from the locker room. I don't know. Did they actually like force their wrestlers to pay money to watch their matches and their pay-per-views? But Ricochet is watching it WWE style. He's cheating out and he's looking at the monitor, which is shown like, you know, to the audience on camera, and Ricochet is just watching it from an angle. It's very, very weird. But this match, holy crap, these guys, such great chemistry. Pac, Sasuke special, this move after move after move. Spanish Fly Slam, Oz Cutters, the works, man. Like, this is...
Black Arrows. There's a point where Pac locks on the Brutalizer.
Arrow.
Black Arrow. Brutalizer attempt, which is such a fucking great submission hold, especially
Rings of Saturn.
No, it's called the Brutalizer. No, that is a badass name for a move.
Yeah.
I love, ever since Pac added the Brutalizer to his repertoire back when he was in WWE, like, oh, this is such a fucking good move for him, especially after he hits the Black Arrow. The finish was fucking fantastic. A little bit too much finisher kickouts. I think the only issue I have with Will Ospreay's booking in AEW is that in New Japan, nobody kicked out of the Hidden Blade.
No.
Here in AEW, I can count like 3 or 4 people that have kicked out of it since. I remember being a fucking heel at Forbidden Door when Kenny Omega kicked out of the Hidden Blade. But Pac does kick out of the Hidden Blade. And then Will Ospreay just fires the fuck up. This is like his hidden ability. He hits the hidden blade. There's a kick out. Ospreay just fires up. He picks Pac up, hits him with Stormbreaker. You think Will Ospreay is a Marvel guy? He has to.
Oh, totally. If I ever meet Will Ospreay, I'd want to ask him who his favorite Marvel character is.
Probably Thor, considering his finisher is called Stormbreaker.
Probably.
Hits Stormbreaker, immediately pops back up, hits another hidden blade to the back of the head, goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3, and the win. I'm going to give this match... I'm teetering between 4.5 and 4 3/4.
Don't forget the Styles Clash. Don't forget the Styles Clash.
That is crazy. Not only that Ospreay is using that move, but they're straight up just calling it the Styles Clash on AEW.
They are. They might as well just call his flying forearm phenomenal at this point.
I think they should call it the Face Breaker.
They should call it the Face Breaker. Yeah, especially if he hits the Miz. Especially if he hits the Miz with it, right?
Easy. I mean, if they're going to be taking Undertaker's move, they might as well be taking his wife's move while they're at it.
Yeah, might as well. Dude, I don't know. Fuck it. 5 stars. This match was fucking excellent. I think it's probably going to be, when it's all said and done, the most underrated match of 2024. Will Ospreay
Will Ospreay is going to have match of the year in AEW. I just can't pick which one yet.
5-star machine. I didn't like this as much as Danielson, just because I feel like that match was a little bit more unpredictable between those two guys. I had no doubt in my mind that Ospreay was retaining here. Especially, this
wasn't a dream match. This was when the bell rung. I looked at this and I said, I didn't realize how much I needed this match.
Yeah. With how smooth all their counters were, Pac hitting Hurricane Ranas out of powerbomb attempts by Ospreay, and these guys are just making everything look easy.
I want to see Pac versus Rhea Ripley, just so I can see who sells the DDT better.
Again, to talk about matches I never knew I needed is that one right there.
Bring back Intergender Wrestling.
Yeah,
TNA has the balls to do it. How come nobody else does?
Just so we can get Rhea Ripley versus Dirty Dom. We have it. We have to at some point.
I want to see Michael Cole versus Bayley. That's a match like 4 years in the making right now.
I want to see Michael Cole versus Valhalla. Because Valhalla wouldn't give him the antlers. Valhalla wouldn't give him the antlers.
We all know we want to see Michael Cole versus Top Dollar.
Yeah,
Michael Cole would fucking eviscerate him.
Well, Michael Cole would probably lose if it was a battle royal because AJ Francis can't go over the top rope. He's banned from diving. Anyway. Hey, Joe Hendry said that AJ Francis was banned from diving, so that I'm just going off of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ospreay celebrates with the title. Ricochet is shown watching on TV backstage. It might be too soon to give us this match at Wrestle Dream, but
clearly they're slow building to this because it was either Pac or Ospreay made an excellent point. I don't think it's right for Ricochet to just waltz in and get an international title shot. This dude needs to rack up some wins.
Yeah. Tony, do not pull a Mercedes with Ricochet, please. Build up Ricochet, give him every single win. Do not have him lose for at least 6 months, and then give us Ospreay and Ricochet in a rematch probably around Revolution time, because that's like no earlier than Revolution. Like that's what I'll accept.
You don't want to lag on this too long, but I do agree that, again, you don't want Ricochet to fall in the vortex of mostly all the other WWE signees, where they come in, they get this big pop, big heroes welcome, they get the big match right away, they lose the big match right away, because I'm going to be honest, I don't think Ricochet's beating Ospreay, and then they're on Rampage and Collision.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Ricochet could do it. He could pull that upset. I want him to, honestly. Just because, like,
who the fuck is Ricochet? You mean that jabroni that got demolished by Braun Breaker?
Yeah,
Trevor Mann.
Rico Chet.
I'm talking about Trevor Mann. Trevor Mann's in AEW.
Just like Adam Copeland's in AEW. But anyway, this was my favorite match of the night. Ospreay and Pac. It's probably going to go down as the most underrated match of 2024 to me. When the match of the year voting comes around, like, this should absolutely be in the discussion. But up next...
Hey, Zach, you want to talk about a match that took me by surprise?
This was one of the most pleasant surprises of the night, because how do you follow Ospreay and Pac? Any match, I'm sure, would be shaking in their shoes to follow what Ospreay and Pac did out there. But Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander had to do just that in a Chicago street fight. A match that has been built up so well since Double or Nothing. Great 4-month-long story. Kris Statlander turned on her friend after Willow inexplicably lost the TBS title to Mercedes Moné. And Kris Statlander...
build. Wouldn't this be nice if this was like a featured rivalry on Dynamite? I'm sorry, I just can't get off that. It would be nice. Because, you know...
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's
because
2 hours, you can only do so much in 2 hours. But
Willow Nightingale is also carrying around the CMLL Women's World Title, and this match was originally supposed to be for the belt, but the kayfabe reason why they didn't have the belt defended is because CMLL refused to have it defended in street fight form. I don't know if that's a shoot.
Yeah, that's a crazy rule. That's a crazy rule.
But
this match was crazy in a good way, though.
This match was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Willow Nightingale is just this happy-go-lucky, coming out to happy, cheery music, just there to have a good time, wants to hug everybody. This girl can fight. She is hardcore as fuck. And the spots that were pulled off in this match were very good.
Holy crap.
Complaining at All In that the FCW title had kind of turned into the comedy gimmick hardcore match. No, this was straight up hardcore, thumbtacks, trash cans, steel chairs. This was fun. This was super fun.
Can we also put over how strong Kris Statlander looks? Statlander as a heel, like this new version of Statlander, who is definitely not an alien anymore. It is Statterday, as Stokely Hathaway would say in the announcement. You know, it's a great gimmick. I think it's a great gimmick. Miss Statterday Night.
How often do you think Stokely Hathaway asked for uppies? What a lucky man.
He's a lucky son of a bitch. But yeah, Kris Statlander in the early goings power bombs Willow Nightingale through the Spanish announce table.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap. Like, do you need any more proof how strong this woman is?
Or, as I like to call it, the announce bunker. Because I don't know what the fuck these announce tables in AEW are made out of, but they are huge and bulky, and you hear that metal.
Gigantic. Kris tells Hathaway to get the stuff, which does not mean get the eppies and get the drugs, but it actually means the trash can filled with weapons. There's a barbed wire baseball bat that is very early on, like, used on both sides. Statlander also, like, should we get to the thumbtacks right now? Or
I was going to say, let's talk about the thumbtacks, how Statlander introduces the thumbtacks, so we know this is going to be a bad night for her. Willow Nightingale proceeds to lift her up in a back suplex position, but slams her split position crotch first onto the thumbtacks.
Holy crap,
these
dude.
Thumbtacks didn't make any contact with her crotch, but they were all up and down her leg. And Statlander's selling of the spot was beautiful.
I don't think that was selling, dude. I mean, they're like, she's taking a slam in that spot on thumbtacks. Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think any thumbtacks actually made contact with her groin area, but they were very up and down her thighs.
Right.
Which, again,
right.
Did not tickle.
But any spot involving thumbtacks, like the selling that you're referring to, that can't be selling because it's like little pin cushions inside you. You are a pin cushion. You know? Like little, like 69 tacks all up and down your back. Right? Imagine that.
When Chris Jericho said that, it was nice.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Very evil. Statlander, Spanish fly off the top rope after doing the splits on a bunch of thumbtacks. There's a steel chain that's used. Willow Nightingale spine buster onto the thumbtacks as well. So
Willow Nightingale has a beautiful spine buster, by the way.
Yeah. I wonder if she learned it from Arn Anderson. I wonder if she learned it from Arn, because Arn Anderson, in my opinion, still has the greatest spine buster in the history of wrestling. It's that's what I think.
H would like to have a word with you.
Who? Oh,
Triple H would like to have a word with you.
I think Arn's is better. I'm sorry. I mean, Triple H is...
Machine Gun Carl Anderson would like to have a word with you.
Hey, listen. Triple H... Arn Anderson walked so Triple H could run. So, Fair. That's what I think. Statlander... Oh man, this finish was brutal, wasn't it? I mean,
It was.
these women are fighting up and down the ramp in the early goings of the match. Also, they're putting each other through tables. But the finish comes with Statlander picking up Willow and hitting another tombstone pile driver, and Statlander with blood coming down her face locks in an STF type hold with the steel chain wrapped around Willow's mouth, and Willow has to tap out.
Fish hooking her.
Yeah, yeah. This was such a fun street fight. I'm going to go 4 stars. These women killed it. Absolutely killed it.
I'm going to match that. If you're upset about Nightingale losing, remember she's still the champion, and I'm pretty sure she'll get her win back when she defends the title. I love these grudge feuds. I love these blood feuds. It gives you a reason to actually get invested in the story. And the story was here that these are two former best friends that hate each other now. And Nightingale's very much the character of, I don't want to fight my best friend, but she drove me to do this. And Willow Nightingale, she's a tough gal. She really proved that in this match. I mean, you look at her stuff on the indies, and you know that already, that this girl can go. But
totally.
On a mainstream platform, I think this was the match to show that I think she's a star. She truly is a star.
Yeah, might as well. I wouldn't mind seeing her be the one to take the world title off Mariah May. I wouldn't mind that at all.
She's better than she's better than Nia Jax.
You know what? Yeah. I mean,
you had to think about that.
Well, yeah. Well, because at this point, sitting around, I'm indifferent about Nia Jax now. Thankfully, Nia Jax hasn't hurt anybody, and Willow Nightingale hasn't consistently hurt her opponents in the ring. Like I would at least trust Nightingale a little bit more in the ring. So it's. Yeah, no, but Nia Jax's run as the women's champion right now hasn't offended me yet. We'll talk about that during Bad Blood.
I can't wait to get into the match after this next match. So let's get into this next match. It's a 4-way for the AEW Continental Championship. Yeah, remember that title? Kazuchika Okada of the New Elite defending against Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Konosuke Takeshita. The real story about this match is Okada and Takeshita. Let's be real right. I feel like Briscoe and Cassidy were just there as filler and for someone to take the pin, because clearly here it's the battle of the Japanese stars. I will say it's a little odd that they're both heels. And if you're going to turn someone babyface, it would have to be Takeshita, but you can't do that when Don Callis is your manager.
No,
I think this was a fine match. It felt very filler to me.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun for what we were given. But number one, this 4-way was clearly a reason to get Okada on the pay-per-view, because, you know, he hasn't been featured on pay-per-view defending this Continental title, I think, since Dynasty, unless he defended it at Double or Nothing. Like, I don't know. He was in the Anarchy in the Arena match. No, that's why.
Yeah, so the Continental title has been very neglected, and this was a way to get it on the show. I really hate saying that Briscoe and Cassidy were kind of afterthoughts in this match. They're part of that very random faction in AEW known as the Conglomeration, but I do think this was the safer option to go, because you don't just want to give Okada and Takeshita one-on-one on a pay-per-view with no build. I'm just very curious how they're going to get to that when these are two heels. And I'm not saying you can't turn Takeshita babyface, but Don Callis is still very much attached to the hip. And Don Callis is the Paul Heyman of AEW, I feel, and in that sense where, and not talking about Paul Heyman now, because I think Paul Heyman is transitioning into a great babyface for the first time in his career, but you can't be a babyface and have Don Callis as your manager. You can't.
He can't. Absolutely can't. One of my favorite spots in this 4-way was the absolute stiff showcase that Mark Briscoe had with Orange Cassidy in the middle of the ring. They were just beating the hell out of each other. Like, you know, I think Orange Cassidy might have knocked a few more of Mark Briscoe's teeth out. And
it was very brutal.
Yeah, no.
The cage match was bad. That was nothing. That was like two puppies playing.
Yeah. Just kidding. Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe are lightly like chopping each other in the chest, and the crowd is responding as they should at every Orange Cassidy gimmick spot. And they end it with a high five.
Because, I was going to say, I love this spot because Cassidy and Briscoe are friends. And it's just like, I know we're in the middle of this Continental title match, but let's have some fun for a minute. And
Might as well.
I am very happy that I feel like Cassidy has definitely, I don't want to say lost momentum, but he's been not as heavily featured as he was last year, but I still like that he's still in a prominent position in AEW where he's still being featured, if that makes sense. Like, totally. I don't want this guy ever to fade into the background. I like that he's wrestling on a consistent basis on Dynamite. And even though he doesn't have really anything great going on for him, like booking wise, I'm glad that he's still here.
Totally. Me too.
Question. Do you think Orange Cassidy will ever be WWE bound?
Nah, just because I don't think this gimmick works as well in a WWE system.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Danhausen, maybe. Danhausen is a strong maybe for WWE, just simply because Danhausen is friends with Punk. That's the only way I see like Danhausen going over. But Orange Cassidy, no. I feel like his gimmick is too like smart fan oriented. It's too like smart fan joke oriented. Like if you're like you'd only really get the joke if you've been a fan of wrestling for a long time, you know?
Would you say it's in the same realm of like Broken Matt Hardy?
Probably. And that's why Woken Matt Hardy didn't work as well as it should have in 2018 when he was feuding with Bray Wyatt. Even though the Ultimate Deletion was fun, like
I was gonna say, at least he got the WWE production treatment with his deletion match. There's some random food for thought there.
Yeah.
The real story here was Takeshita and Okada. That's clearly the end goal here.
Man, like, when these two guys faced off, this crowd reacted like they were watching Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu square off inside that steel cage. Like, this crowd wants to see these two Japanese aces go at it, and I want to see it too, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Okada's been with AEW now, like, signed officially for about 6 months, and I think he has yet to have that defining Okada match. That's on the level of, like, the Okada Omega trilogy that we got.
I feel like, I don't want to say they're easing him into the system, because if you can bring in Will Ospreay the way you did, and he is just flourishing, I don't know, maybe it's an age thing, maybe it's because since Okada is going to be wrestling on this level on a weekly basis, he doesn't want to, I don't know, burn himself out, but I do get where you're coming from. And you can't sit on Omega coming back anytime soon.
No. So,
what's stopping them from doing Okada and Ospreay? Like, in I don't know, just a featured match.
You like could do, well, I think, no, I see what you're getting at there, but I feel like that defining Okada match in AEW so far, it could honestly be Konosuke Takeshita. Because Takeshita really is that fucking good. And it seems like an eternity ago when this man pinned Kenny Omega on 2 consecutive pay-per-views. Clean. And Tony Khan has not done a damn thing with him really since then.
That's what happens when you don't capitalize on momentum. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was saying Takeshita could be the first true homegrown AEW talent. Because I know, he had his Japanese career, but how he moved to America full-time to work with AEW, and that means a broader demographic of the wrestling audience doesn't know this guy. So they easily could have, made him a top babyface. And I'm okay with him being a heel right now, but they got to get him back on track sooner rather than later.
So with that being said, Okada and Takeshita, like, they didn't interact a lot in this match, probably because they still want to, like, keep as separate as possible, so that when they actually do have their big one-on-one match, hopefully a Wrestle Dream, that's what I'm hoping for. But once they lock horns, it's going to be fucking amazing, I think. Mark Briscoe,
one of those sleeper matches where I don't think people realize what they're going to be getting until it's underway.
Yes. So Orange hits Okada with a Superman punch. Takeshita sends Orange completely out of the ring. Mark does hit his brother's finisher on Takeshita, which I absolutely loved seeing. I mean, the
Jay Driller.
Yeah, I don't think the wound has fully healed yet from Jay's passing, but it's still,
For me, it'll never.
Yeah.
As long as Mark is still coming out to the theme song, Jay's being featured on that Titantron, which by all means, keep the memory alive.
Dem boys. Keep chanting Dem boys.
Every time I see Mark, I'm like, Jay should be with them. They should have won the AEW tag team titles. This should still be a thing. I'm pretty sure, on a lighter note, I'm pretty sure Lindsay is a huge fan of Mark Briscoe's other finisher,
the Froggy Bow. Yes, I understand the Froggy Bow because it's named after a frog.
A frog splash into an elbow drop. It is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is a.
When are we going to see Mark Briscoe bust out some redneck kung fu again?
Redneck kung fu, probably when he never mind. Probably I was about to say when he wrestles Takeshita 1-on-1, but yeah, I mean kung fu masters, kung fu naki maybe, kung fu naki. Anyway, Okada takes Takeshita out of the ring. Okada then hits not one Rainmaker on Mark Briscoe, but then he hits another Rainmaker on Orange Cassidy for the definitive pinfall. 15-minute match, pretty entertaining fatal four-way, I guess. It's I think I'm okay giving it 3.5. I enjoyed it. Yeah. Pretty above average Dynamite level match. It felt like filler to me before Okada Takeshita, but it's again, we're waiting. I was
gonna say if there's any match that probably could have not been on the show, it would be this, but I know you're so excited to talk about this next match.
Mercedes Moné versus Hikaru Shida for the TBS title. So, the gimmick with this one. Good God. Okay, so remember how Mercedes kind of turned heel because the fans were absolutely rejecting her. She had to, and then she got her own Diesel in Camille. The gimmick with this thing is Camille is banned from ringside. How long has Camille been Mercedes' heater?
Close to 2 months.
Not even 2 months. Not even 2 months. And they're already banning her from ringside. This is something you do when you're 6 months deep into Mercedes' reign. Like, the whole point of a heater is to build up heat for the cowardly heel.
I was going to say, like, Camille needs to cost people at least 3 or 4 title matches before they realize she's actually a problem.
Mercedes, here's another problem with her. Yeah, she turns heel.
A lot of thinking.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 weeks in between All In and All Out.
Okay. Yeah.
I realized this going into this match and how much they make Mercedes Moné to be this big deal. So during her entrance, these are the things I realized. I can't stand her theme song. I think
fucking sucks.
Very annoying.
Fucking sucks.
I don't know what it is about Mercedes Moné, but when she was in WWE, I feel like her entrance just flowed so much smoother. Like I loved, her showing off the brass knucks, her getting up on the rope and doing her thing. But now she comes out and she just goes, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
She's doing Gumby. She's like dancing around like Gumby.
So you have a mid-ass theme song. You're having like a fucking seizure on the way to the ring. Mercedes Moné is a cheap knockoff of herself. She is a cheap knockoff of the boss Sasha Banks, which is her.
Yeah.
I saw a post online, and I couldn't agree with it more. Mercedes Moné just looks so much cleaner in WWE. The boss Sasha Banks, yes, it was a WWE product, in which Mercedes Moné did have a hand in. She has said that in interviews. But how do I say this? She's had some good matches in WWE. Her trilogies with Charlotte Flair, her trilogies with Bayley were fantastic. But ever since she left WWE and she makes herself out to be this big fucking deal, now that she's so pretentious about it, I don't see the hype behind her.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of just clicked for me watching this match. She presents herself like she's a Roman Reigns, like she's a Cody Rhodes, like she's this big marquee, match person, like an attraction, like a Brock Lesnar, like a guy you don't see on TV every week, but you buy these pay-per-views to watch. Like, say what you want about Brock Lesnar's title runs, but that dude was a draw for that reason. You wanted to tune into his title defenses. You wanted to tune in him versus Roman Reigns, him versus Samoa Joe, him versus The Undertaker. Because
Braun Strowman.
You know you were in for a spectacle, him and Bryan Danielson, him and AJ Styles, but Mercedes Moné just brings this huge aura to her matches, and she does not deliver.
Yeah.
She straight up just does not deliver.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Glad to have you aboard.
I don't think this match was much as a snooze fest as her and Britt Baker, but Shida tried. Shida's a great wrestler.
Yeah, poor Hikaru Shida, man. Like, she hasn't been featured on pay-per-view in months, and here she is getting a mid-card championship shot, and I stress mid-card championship. Because Mercedes, once again, is presenting herself like she became the world champion night one, which I'm sure if Tony was wanting to do, he would have absolutely done that for sure.
Mercedes Moné has not elevated this TBS title.
No!
Will Ospreay elevated the international title, or Gunta elevated the Intercontinental title.
Not even close!
John Cena elevated the United States title.
Not even fucking close.
Feels like a mid-card championship.
Yep.
This feels like 2013 Ryback holding the Intercontinental title. I know that's not when he held the title, but you know what I mean. This is 2015 Ryback holding the Intercontinental title.
And while we're on that subject, though, giving Mercedes more promotions as championships is not going to make her out to be a bigger star either. It's just going to make her look out to be like a hack, you know?
The title doesn't make the wrestler makes the title.
Yep.
And the TBS title feels like a crutch for Mercedes Moné.
It does. It also feels like an excuse to feature her over and over again.
Mercedes Moné is the only wrestler since AEW has been born throughout this whole thing of wrestlers jumping back and forth. Mercedes Moné is the only act that I look at and I go, this girl is riding off of her WWE stock, and she has nothing else going for her. Because you look at everybody else. You look at your Cody Rhodes. You look at your CM Punk. You look at your Ricochets. You look at your Keith Lees. They had reputations prior to WWE, and they had work ethic that worked in both companies. Mercedes Moné was known for one thing and one thing only, and that was WWE. And she's using her WWE name to try to coast through these other promotions.
Well,
Cody Rhodes, sure, yeah. Son of Dusty Rhodes, made his name in WWE. But what did he do when he left WWE? He went on the indies and he wrestled Adam Cole and Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay and Kurt Angle and every single person under the sun to continue building his stock that he was a star. What the fuck has Mercedes Moné done since she left WWE? Sure against Kairi Sane?
I almost went to that show too. I was almost at that Battle in the Valley show for New Japan with Mercedes and Kairi as one of the headliners. Kind of glad I didn't go to that one. Like, in hindsight, I'm glad I did not attend that show. So yeah, this match, I mean, again, like, it's so shitty that we have to dwell so much on this Mercedes bullshit, because the match itself was not bad. Hikaru Shida definitely tried her best. Shida was stiff with Mercedes, which I'm like, good. Good. Maybe knock some sense into her for once.
Girl, you wanted to go to Japan. Don't be surprised when they start being stiff with you in Japan.
When they start beating the shit out of you, knocking your teeth down your throat. Shida does the deal 3 times in a row, and Mercedes somehow kicks out. Mercedes and Shida go back and forth with suplexes. She tries the katana kick. The crowd does not react at all to this match either. It's different because I don't know if it's a combination of the fact that it's Mercedes and they're sick of her already, or they're saving their energy for the double main event that we're going to be getting, and they're yawning a lot, just sitting in the front row, like, and they're just watching Mercedes like, why should we care? Why should we care?
It's like, I don't think Mercedes Moné has go away heat per se. I just don't think the fans really care about her.
Yeah. No, I certainly don't care about her. Shida and Mercedes have some pretty decent counter wrestling at the end. Then Mercedes hits her shitty finisher for the pin at 16:30.
The Moné Maker.
It's her shitty finisher. That's all I'm calling it right now.
But it is called the Moné Maker. I'll give it 2 3/4 stars. It was a match.
Yeah. Yeah, weakest match on the show. Again, two in a row, Mercedes. Good job.
The inferior women's match of the night, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, big time.
Gee, what if Kris Statlander was the TBS champion defending against Willow Nightingale?
God, gee, what if Willow Nightingale was still the TBS champion after Dynasty? What if Julia Hart was still the TBS champion? I haven't seen Julia Hart in months.
Yeah.
So, it shows you where Tony's priorities are. But anyway, let's talk about something better. Let's talk about something better up next, Tomas. Yeah, fine.
Yes, you want to talk about matches that took me by surprise?
Mm-hmm.
In his first title defense, Bryan Danielson is defending the AEW World Championship against the TNT champion, Jack Perry, in the sanctioned main event, because the real main event is lights out. So the commentators really stressed this is technically the last match of the evening. The build for this was pretty quick and simple. Bryan Danielson won the AEW World Championship in All In a great feel-good moment for the company and for Danielson. Danielson comes out the following Dynamite, and he teases his retirement, but he says he's not quite done yet. He has a title he needs to defend, and he straight up just holds an open challenge. This leads for Jack Perry to gladly take that open challenge, and that's basically the build. It was quick and simple. I like that they kept it simple considering they only had 2 weeks in between these pay-per-views. I'm going to get this out of the way right now. I have no problem with Jack Perry challenging for the title.
Yeah, me neither.
I had no time to build. It's okay, guys. It's
me neither.
Jack Perry has been in the company long enough that I think he is a solid enough hand to give Danielson. That's all he was here to do. Give Danielson a good match.
Also,
it's a little irritating that he's a TNT champion still, and he's kind of like going for the world championship. Sure, but I was very not offended by this.
This is the lesser version of Logan Paul challenging Cody Rhodes at King of the Ring earlier this year. Yeah. With the guy who everybody fucking hates carrying the mid-card title, and he's going in there and he's going against the most likable guy on earth, and he's there basically as someone for the good guy to beat. Because let's be honest though, Danielson just won a career-threatening match to win this AEW World Title for the first time. Did anybody honestly think that Danielson was losing this match? Like,
is it fair to say that Danielson just gave Jack Perry the best match of his career?
I don't know. I honestly look at I think back also to Jack Perry's coming out party against MJF at Double or Nothing during the pandemic, which was one of my very first reviews I did on this channel before the ZNT wrestling show was even born. I think back to the cage match that he had with Luchasaurus. I think what was that pay-per-view? Was it Full Gear or World's End? I don't remember, but man.
You mean yeah, that was Full Gear, but you mean the pay-per-view where he finally became a jungle man?
Yes, the implosion of the Jurassic Express. I fucking love that cage match. It was so good.
That was a good match.
Yeah, Jack Perry, again, say what you want about him.
Can I do it for old time's sake, please?
Yeah.
Can I do it for old time's sake? Okay.
Sure. Yeah. He's a Tarzan boy. He's a Tarzan boy. I honestly I'll even throw the final burial in there with Christian Cage. That was a really fun match to watch live.
Damn, I forgot about that match.
Those guys were fighting.
We were there.
Yeah, we were there. We were there for Christian Cage being put in a casket and descending down to the bottom of the arena. We were there. And
that's how he became Father of the Year.
Yep, he was killed and then he became Father of the Year. So Jack Perry, again, I've said it for years, really talented guy. He is a very ambitious young man. He put together that TNT championship straight from scratch. He's a modern day blacksmith, and it does look very cool on him as a scapegoat.
My thing is, I hope that Jack Perry doesn't ride on this CM Punk thing for the rest of his career. I don't want it to be.
I really hope not. I really hope not.
Right now, he still kind of feels like you're the bitch that CM Punk choked out on the way out of the company. And do you really want that reputation for the rest of your career?
Yeah, and he's going out there doing the Raven pose while he's the scapegoat too. You can't unsee that. You cannot unsee that. When he gets up onto the turnbuckle and he holds his arms out in a Christ-like state, he looks like Raven up there.
But let me guess. It was awesome that they used Final Countdown.
It fucking was. It fucking was. I don't care that Tony Khan is using 6 digits to get Final Countdown on All Out, but this match was indeed very good. Again, the result was never in any sort of doubt or anything. Danielson, I never really felt like was in any sort of danger in this thing of losing his belt.
But I think that was the purpose of the match, for it to be a good match.
Oh,
you know what? You're right. I got my spots mixed up. It was in this match where the Young Bucks interfered and hit Danielson with a TK driver.
The Indie Taker. The Indie Taker. Indie Taker. But anyway.
TK driver.
It should also be noted, do you remember that this pay-per-view is in Chicago, right?
Yes.
So the crowd is chanting "Fuck you, Jack" throughout the entirety of the thing. I do hear some CM Punk chants directed at Jack. And it's, again, I really, really hope that this kid does not ride off of the CM Punk momentum, or if you can call it CM Punk momentum, or the CM Punk stigmatism, whatever you want to, like, whatever distinguishment you want to give it. Like, I really hope that Jack Perry does not spend the rest of his career using this as heat. Just because it just feels, it feels like he's cheating a little bit. You know what I mean? It
you
feels,
don't want it to define him.
No.
Because he can only do this for so long.
This fucker.
Just think about it. Is he going to be going out there like 5 years later and be like, hey, remember, I'm the reason CM Punk's not here anymore? Like, you gotta, like, he's gotta define himself.
This guy's mystique should not be centered on dumb internet shit. His mystique should be centered on the fact that he put Darby Allin in a coffin at All In. The fact that he was, you know, being put through real glass by Hook. Go cry me a river.
This dude needs to do something crazy. Like, here's an idea. You know what he needs to do? When Adam Copeland comes back, he needs to give him a concerto. He needs to do something crazy like that.
How about the fact that this dude was set on fire at Double or Nothing and still got the win for his team? Ironically enough, he pinned Bryan Danielson in that match. So this is a full circle moment for a lot of people, from Double or Nothing to All Out, the 4-month gap there.
Bryan Danielson gave Jack Perry a very good match here.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So near the end of the match, that's when we get the interference. There's a ref bump. The Bucks come in and give Danielson the TK driver, which any next spot with Danielson is always going to make me nervous.
I love the stolen finishers too. I'm sorry to cut you off, but Jack Perry locked in cattle mutilation on Bryan at one point. Yep. He also hit a dragon suplex to dump Bryan on his bad neck, which in storyline and in real life, Danielson has a very, very troubled neck problem history. Perry also,
next spot he takes just makes me so nervous. This man is mere months away from finally hanging it up and going with his family. I don't want him to do it in a wheelchair. Like, for the love of God. No more, please, no more head spots. I can't say that. We know Danielson's going to do more head spots.
Yeah.
The finish was a little odd, in my opinion, because after Danielson kicks out of the TK driver,
there was a ref bump. There was a ref bump. Don't forget. Danielson drop kicks Bryce Remsburg, and then he looks down and he says, "I'm sorry. We got to finish this. We got to finish this."
He's not that professional like Cody Rhodes. But also after he kicks out of the TK driver, here comes back Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta to chase off the Bucks, and that's a big heaping scoop of foreshadowing, as Deadpool would say. So Danielson hits a Busaiku knee, and Perry kicks out. Danielson is setting up for another Busaiku knee, and I'm sorry, I hate this spot. This
was stupid.
He just sits there with his arms out, accepting defeat. And
this was so dumb.
Busaiku knee, and he gets the pin, and he retains. I will never understand why wrestlers do that. It's like they're accepting defeat.
I don't understand it either.
You couldn't counter it into a submission hold. You couldn't have countered it into a surprise roll-up. No, you're just like, I give up. Hit me with that knee and put me out of my misery.
Really good match, but dumb finish. Yeah, why is Jack Perry doing the "I'm sorry, I love you" spot from WrestleMania 24? Different circumstances.
You could say that with any person that does this spot. I still question that with Ric Flair. Like, why did you move out of the way?
He's accepted that his career is over and that Shawn Michaels is the better man in the ring there, and he realizes that he can't hang.
I just hate that spot. I hate when anybody does it, but That's your finish. Danielson wins.
They got a lot of time. They got a lot of time.
It was a little long, not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna go 3 3/4 with this match. I almost gave it 4, but then I did realize I think they gave this match more time than they needed to. Well, this was technically the main event.
Yes.
But considering what happens after the match, they could have trimmed 5 minutes off this match.
Holy shit. Yeah, dude. Like, so when the match started, I did notice that there was at least an hour of pay-per-view time left. And I was thinking, are they really going to go like 30 minutes on this lights out match? Which wouldn't have surprised me at all. But no, it wasn't even an hour. It was like an hour and a half left of pay-per-view time when this match started.
Yeah. 30 minutes. Like, yeah, they got 31 minutes.
Yeah, no, I was sitting there and I was like, you have an hour and a half left of pay-per-view time and there's 2 matches. There's 2 matches still to go. And I'm like, so either the lights out match is getting a lot of time, which it ended up doing, or there's going to be a big post-match angle in this match, or a combination of both. Fair enough. You got option C. We got both. So this big post-match angle, Danielson beats Jack Perry clean as a whistle. Was there any doubt? This was interesting. So Danielson is celebrating, and then out comes Killswitch, the former Luchasaurus, obliterates Danielson with a headbutt, and there's that stare down between him and Jack Perry. And I'm sitting there.
So awkward.
Holy fuck, dude. I'm sitting there as the biggest fan of the Jurassic Express from a couple of years ago. I love them as a team. I saw them and I was like,
third guy with them? Never mind.
No, he was a little bit too small to detect with the human eye anyway. So, anyway, Luchasaurus and Jack Perry, Jungle Boy are looking at each other. They've changed so much since that cage match. And then basically
Killswitch should have looked at Jack Perry as like, so you're a goat now? And Perry should have looked at Killswitch and go, you're still a dinosaur, I see.
You're still a fucking dinosaur. He's a very angry dinosaur.
Yeah, I was like, well, I guess it was nice catching up with you. My dad is gonna come win the world title now, if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Christian Cage comes out with Nick Wayne and Mother Wayne, and he's got that contract with them. And I start getting nervous because I'm like, oh shit. It's gonna happen.
He's gonna cash in. He's gonna cash in his money in the bank. I mean, his contracts that he has in his hands. And it's like, it's another thing. Long-term storytelling. Christian Cage was saying all this stuff all those years ago about how ungrateful Jack Perry is. Proving Christian Cage as the villain is right. So that's what makes Christian Cage not only an obnoxious, entertaining father figure heel, it also makes him interesting because he's right about Jack Perry. He was right all along. So
I love those justified heels, don't you?
Yep. So he walks down there with his Money in the Bank contracts that he has in his hand. I mean, whatever he won in the Gauntlet match.
He just straight up had the contract in his hand. It was special.
It was the Money in the Bank. It's a Money in the Bank contract basically. So he walks down, gets to the bottom of the ramp, and then there's Jon Moxley, who we haven't talked about in months. I think since Forbidden Door. Moxley stops the patriarchy from going any farther. Yeah.
Let's talk about
let's catch up. Let's catch up.
So after All In, Moxley just randomly showed up. He's not coming out to Wild Thing anymore. He's not wearing any Blackpool combat gear. And we're wondering, what's Moxley's deal? So Schiavone interviews him, and Moxley oddly looks at the camera and says, Tony Khan, this isn't your company anymore. And then he's backstage. He makes his point again, and then Marina Shafir shows up and beats up some security guards. So Moxley's cooking something, but also he was the only one absent in Bryan Danielson's championship celebration.
Yes.
So Moxley is clearly up to something, but here it seems like it's all business. Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, do you think this has anything to do with Shane McMahon? Surprise, like maybe showing up in AEW?
I don't want it to, but I feel like it is.
You know, just because Mox and Shane McMahon have that connection from the very beginnings of SmackDown Live, and with him saying, like, this isn't your company anymore, it honestly feels to me like this is the way to get Shane McMahon into AEW.
Let me reiterate again that I don't want this at all. But
I'm indifferent to it if it happens, but I'll get to why I have that theory. So
I won't scream at the top of my lungs about it, but
no,
I don't care for it. I don't care to see it. I think I could live the rest of my life not seeing it, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait. Yeah, I'll be fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mox and the rest of the BCC get in there, minus William Regal. So why the fuck is it called the Blackpool Combat Club now?
Yeah, well, BCC, including Pac. So it's the trios champions. I thought that was very interesting when Pac showed up.
Yeah.
And I think the writing was on the wall. I mean, I had this spoiled for me, so I knew what was going to happen. So you think it's all this? So the patriarchy backs down because Christian Cage realizes, I have this contract. I don't need to cash it in right now. Numbered. It's technically 3 against 5.
Bro,
Wayne ain't going to get
okay. Okay, do you want to describe what happens first, and then I'll explain why I reacted that way to that statement? Yeah, just go ahead and describe what happens. Yeah.
So that happens. Patriarchy backs down because Christian Cage is smart and realizes I can cash this in whenever I want.
No, he's not
attempting to do this now. So they back off. They get into the ring. Moxley hugs Danielson. They're celebrating with Danielson for a championship win. And then out of nowhere, Claudio Castagnoli just blasts Bryan Danielson with an uppercut. But this is weird because Danielson goes down.
Danielson did not sell it.
He just looks up at Claudio like, the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
Did you really just try to uppercut me?
Yeah. But it was whole.
Right afterward. And that uppercut was not an uppercut. It was a distraction. Because Danielson he's dumbfounded of why Claudio Castagnoli tried to uppercut him. And then Moxley pulls out a plastic bag.
Yep.
He wraps it around Danielson's face, and he holds that bag over his head for a good 3 minutes. It felt like. Oh my God, this is the part that killed me.
Yeah.
Wheeler Yuta immediately tries to go to help. And is it Pac? Pac just holds him.
Pac did hold him back. Pac held him back.
Like, no. Like, not even restraining him to a point, not like getting physical with him, just like, no, let this happen.
Yeah.
I think Monster said it best. Yuta's face looked like he didn't know this was going to happen.
No way.
Everybody else was clued in, and they were just like, Yuta, don't make us hurt you, but just, you need to let this happen.
Yuta had no idea. No idea.
Just looking at his mentor, just like, you're trying to kill my mentor. Literally. The crowd was chanting, "This is murder." This is murder. I don't know how I feel about a plastic bag spot. I understand this was a Ric Flair Terry Funk spot.
It was
in the day. But you're really teetering the line of edgy, and you could genuinely hurt somebody this way. Yeah. So I'm going to say that because Ric Flair and Terry Funk did this in the build-up, I believe to their I Quit match in '89, like, I wasn't all that thrown off by this. I mean, it was definitely a traumatizing image, for sure. Just seeing the cold look in Moxley's face as he's doing it. Marina Shafir ends up making her way down to the ring as well. I believe to beat up Aubrey Edwards, who's trying to stop the proceedings. Like, I don't remember. Fending off security. Yeah, no, I don't remember exactly what Marina Shafir was doing, but notice this. The attackers, Jon Moxley, Claudio, Pac, and Marina Shafir, all former WWE talents. I know. Keep WWE out of your fucking mouth. I'm sorry. Oh my. Hey, listen. I brought up that point. I was like, why are we bringing WWE into this? I don't know. That's like the legitimate connection that I'm having here. And if Shane McMahon is coming in, then like, yeah, this is probably going to be his group because they're all former WWE people. He wouldn't want Wheeler Yuta in there. I wish AEW would keep their own identity. Yeah. This is very teetering TNA 2010 TNA behavior. Trust me, you have no idea how much it pains me saying that, because I wish AEW would keep their own identity and keep WWE's name out of it. But I mean, it all lines up, man. It all lines up. It would be different. Hear me out. It would be different if this was like the Outsiders or the NWO, or I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say the Outsiders. I meant to say, I'm blanking. Malenko, Eddie, and Benoit. The Radicals. Thank you. The Radicals. If it was something like that, if Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Moxley were freshly released from WWE, and they jump the barricade like the Radicals, I would be okay with that because that's a legit invasion storyline. Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Jon Moxley have all established themselves as AEW. They're not Cesaro, Neville, and Dean Ambrose. They are Pac, Claudio Castagnoli, and Jon Moxley, firmly established in AEW lore. I just want them to keep that identity.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
That's what bothers me about this Shane McMahon thing.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Danielson's over here getting suffocated by a plastic bag.
Oh, he's getting murdered on live television, and you wouldn't think that any one of these witnesses in Chicago would want to call the police. You know, like Moxley's committing murder on live television. Like, again,
I don't give JR a lot of credit nowadays, but I will give him credit for selling this.
Oh, JR was fantastic during this segment.
Yeah. It was as close to Attitude Era JR that we've seen in a very long time. Just the somber voice. JR has the best somber voice in the business.
Well, and how after the segment, how pissed off he was.
Yeah.
Like, pissed off JR is very entertaining. So,
oh, yeah.
You know,
stay tuned for our Backlash 2006 review. We'll talk more about pissed off JR.
Oh boy, he is all over that show. So here's my issue with this segment. It isn't the fact that Moxley was putting the plastic bag over Danielson. It isn't the fact that we were simulating a murder. It isn't the fact that Wheeler Yuta was being held back as the only non-WWE guy in the ring. Listen to this. Danielson is incapacitated. Where the fuck is Christian Cage to cash in that contract now?
Who's Christian to say Jon Moxley and crew wouldn't have still stopped him because it's like, no. He's mine.
Christian looks fucking stupid, though. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this whole segment, like, after Christian leaves, like, why not just, like, after, like, the BCC guys all leave and Marina leaves, Danielson is still in the ring, and then Christian, as the paramedics are attending to him, he runs back down, and he picks up the scraps. He's dumb.
This is professional wrestling, and clearly the direction they're going is Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World title, and you can't do that if Christian steals the title. So, yeah, plot holes, but I still look at it as if Christian Cage still tried to cash in, who's to say Jon Moxley, I don't know, just holds up the... Maybe Christian Cage was scared. It's like, holy fuck, this dude has a plastic bag. I don't want that to be...
Maybe. I hope we get that explanation, because it's a huge plot hole for me. And also, like, I'll address it. The fact that Danielson was incapacitated, he was supposed to defend the title at Grand Slam against Darby Allin, and now Darby is foolishly putting his shot on the line against Moxley in Arthur Ashe, and then if Danielson is cleared, he's wrestling Nigel at Grand Slam. This booking makes no sense.
It doesn't.
It makes absolutely no sense. I'm sorry.
I'm right there with you. It's like Tony Khan went, oh shit, I forgot I gave Darby Allin a title shot. Oh shit, I started a feud between Danielson and Moxley.
Oh my God.
Danielson doesn't have a lot of time, and I'm pretty sure McGuinness is on borrowed time. Gotta do this match now.
Should have done it at Wembley.
Darby Allin might not be alive next year. Oops.
Yeah. That's all on you, Tony. But this match, the Danielson Perry match itself is a 3 3/4 star match. I think it's really solid. But again, with the ramifications of where this world title scene is going right now, with how discombobulated it is, aggravating. You know. So that's it. All Out 2024 is over. That is all the sanctioned matches. What's up?
It's time to put the kids to bed.
Yeah.
It's time to put the pets to bed.
That's what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at. It's
what's happening next?
Hold on.
Lights out.
It's time to turn the lights out. It's time to turn the lights out. So once the light goes back on, AEW is not responsible for what happens next.
There's a ring announcer, there's a referee, there's commentators, they get their entrance music.
And they're all brought out by security, like it's Monsters Ball in TNA. But anyway, lights out steel cage match, Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland, and what I think is AEW's best feud in quite some time. So, Swerve has been the world champion for 4 months. Hangman is obsessed with getting this title off of him. He's obsessed with the fact that these fans are chanting for Swerve after what Swerve did to him and his family and the things that Swerve said about Hangman's family in the past. Swerve, in the 2 weeks between All In and All Out, purchased his childhood family home, and he cuts an impassioned speech in front of the house with Prince Nana in tow. He explains that he's got this brand spanking new contract that is worth a lot of money from AEW, so he's using it to buy his childhood home. And he's very, very happy man indeed. Then later on in the episode, Hangman Adam Page makes a case for why he should be AEW's Randy Orton, because he's a pyromaniac, and he burns Swerve's house to the ground. And it's so damn symbolic. Hangman burning Swerve's house, and he's sitting in front of it, flames all up in the background, and Hangman is just sitting there in his rocking chair drinking a nice glass of whiskey right in front of it. This
Red Dead Redemption 3 looks insane.
This Hangman Adam Page is what I've been waiting for, guys. This is what I've been wanting from him. This cowboy shit.
Whoa, hold on. Did I just hear you right?
Yeah.
You just mean to tell me that Hangman Adam Page committed grand arson on live television and he's not in prison?
Correct. Yeah. No, the crowd at Dynamite did not think to call the police on this grand arson here. The darkness of Hangman Page now, the fact that he's got like this really thick mustache and he looks very weather beaten. This is the Hangman Page that I never knew I needed and I never knew I wanted until now. This is so brilliant.
According to the commentators, both men were in the same locker room, but they have been flanked by security all night so they would not put their hands on each other. Hangman Adam Page is brought to the ring, with this Titantron being him burning down Swerve Strickland's house. Swerve Strickland makes his way to the ring, and on his ring gear are pictures of Hangman Adam Page burning his house to the ground as sheer motivation for what Swerve Strickland wants to do to this man in the cage. And I love, amongst all of this, Prince Nana still has time to do the dance.
He still has time to do the dance, albeit not as extravagant as he usually is. It's very, very reserved, and he's like,
"Yes,
you're not ready. You're not ready, Hangman."
I understand the seriousness of this situation, but it's kind of my thing. I still got to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of my thing. Still got to do it. So Hangman Page again, like this is the reason why I say this is my favorite iteration of Hangman is because this is a cowboy that's fucking scary. Tomas mentioned Red Dead Redemption earlier. The enemies that you came across in that game, one of my favorite game series of all time, one of my favorite duets of video games. A lot of the bad guys that you'd fight in those games remind me of what Hangman Page is right now.
Yeah, he's very Arthur Morgan. He's still very, if you chose to just rob everybody's house and shoot all the NPCs, very Arthur Morgan of Hangman Adam Page. And it is, his new theme song also is great. It really just produces the darkness of this Hangman Adam Page character. I don't think there is another opponent in Hangman Adam Page's career that he clicks with as well as Swerve Strickland. This match starts outside the cage where Swerve Strickland attacks Hangman Adam Page. As the cage is lowering, Swerve Strickland is holding Hangman Adam Page to the ringside on the apron in hopes that this steel cage crushes Hangman to death.
Not only crushes Hangman, Tomas. No. He's hoping this cage decapitates this poor man. And
talk about big pressure.
In character, God damn it. In character, Tony Khan is a bloodthirsty promoter. Because everybody else, like, the announcers are calling for the cage to stop being lowered so this man does not get decapitated. Meanwhile, backstage, you have Tony Khan sitting there like, oh, yes, keep lowering that cage. Keep doing it.
Well, remember, he's not responsible for what happens in this match.
Correct.
There's still somebody operating the mechanism.
Yeah. I wonder if it's...
also...
Go ahead.
Oh, no, you first.
No. So I was just going to say, the only way to win this match, by the way, is pinfall, submission, or knockout. And AEW not responsible for anything that goes on. The Texas Death Match back at Full Gear was a whole new level of violence. And I understand that if deathmatch style wrestling is not your style, if this match makes you queasy, if you never want to watch this match again, I get it. I don't want to sit here and say that this match is better than the Texas Death Match just because I feel like the only thing is the cage was restricting them a little bit from doing everything they wanted to do. Like, for example, Hangman is going for a buckshot, and then he realizes, oh shit, I got a cage behind me. I can't do the buckshot.
Yeah,
you know,
a Rey Mysterio moment.
Yeah, which I thought was funny.
Though, Hangman Adam Page is immediately throwing chairs in the ring, trash cans in the ring. He pulls out just like this plastic container.
It's a tote, a plastic tote.
Yeah, like a plastic tote that he, throws into the ring like a storage container. And it's not clear like most storage containers are, so you just got to wonder what the fuck is in that thing.
Goodness.
And this is where the match begins. And this match was 5 minutes old, and I already felt queasy. Like, this was one of the hardest matches to watch. This match featured the following in the first 5 minutes. A staple gun that Hangman Adam Page immediately started stapling into Swerve Strickland's chest. After a while, Strickland stopped selling it. He grabbed the staple gun and started stapling Hangman's head. He then proceeded to pull out pictures of his own family when he was a child, and he stapled it to Hangman's cheek.
And then he also, shades of Full Gear, took staples and started stapling his own chest, and he's like, nah, this is nothing. This is nothing. Let me tell you a story,
Zach.
Yeah.
I was doing set building for a show that I was in way back in the day, and one of the girls accidentally stapled her thumb with the staple gun.
Oh,
she
God.
Had to get it heavily bandaged because she was bleeding pretty hard. And here these guys are taking the same pressure staple gun and just stapling themselves in the chest. Madness.
Like nothing.
The big story for Hangman in this match is that he loved using the cage to his advantage. He threw Strickland's head into this cage at least a dozen times, and then he started getting a little creative. He took a piece of barbed wire and kind of just like wove it in between the chain link of the cage and proceeded not only to throw Strickland into that barbed wire, but rake his face across it.
Sick fucks, man. Sick fucks. So Page also goes for a clothesline with the barbed wire wrapped around his arm, and Swerve takes it. Page bleeding heavily from the right side of the head, from the right side of his head. It's just, they're using the cage to their advantage for sure. Like, definitely, like, if you're gonna do a cage match, like, you gotta use your environment effectively. And you gotta find creative ways to use your environment. And I feel like these two men absolutely did it.
If there is one blemish on this match, I will say, there was one spot that I saw the effort, and I appreciated the effort. It just didn't go as planned. The referee, for some reason, is trying to talk some sense into Hangman, but it's all out. I mean, it's lights out, so he can't really do anything. And he's kind of berating Hangman for using a steel chair. But Hangman kind of drops the chair, and he orders the referee to pick it up for him. And clear that the referee is getting in position for a spot. So what they were trying to do, and I do appreciate it, since they can't do a traditional buckshot lariat in the cage, Swerve Strickland's plan was to do a flip using the referee as like momentum and then do a buckshot. It didn't work out that well. I think the referee was too low for this to work because Strickland kind of just stumbled over the referee and he hit a weak looking clothesline on a Hangman.
Yeah.
I saw the attempt. I appreciated the attempt. It just didn't pan out as well as they wanted it to.
Try to do some acrobatics to get past the limitations that you can't really do a buckshot in this match because of the cage. So, then Swerve reaches into the tote, and this is probably the most uncomfortable that I felt in this entire match. He pulls out a cinder block. Now, in pro wrestling, we've seen over the past decade especially, gimmicked cinder blocks be used. We've seen Seth Rollins curb stomp Jon Moxley into a gimmicked cinder block to write him off for about a month. We've
seen Swerve Strickland use a gimmicked cinder block to crush Keith Lee's head.
Yep. But Swerve pulls this cinder block out, and you can see that he's kind of struggling with it a little bit, but then he holds it up like this, and then he drops it, and you hear the loudest thud on the canvas, which makes me sitting there watching the match. I'm like, that's a fucking real cinder block that they've got there. Okay.
Swerve Strickland then proceeds to deliver a vertebreaker.
Fucking hell.
To Hangman Adam Page. And he Okay, here's the thing. Hangman grazed it with his back. Thank God he didn't get dropped on his neck. But after this spot, the camera zooms in onto Hangman's back, and you just see the red bruising, like in a scratch form. Like it was brutal. Not as brutal as the second spot they did with the cinder block, where Hangman straight up just power bombs, flat back bump, Swerve Strickland onto the cinder block, and it was absolutely disgusting.
The power bomb.
It was disgusting. Yeah. I winced.
I screamed.
I felt that spot.
I screamed. Good God! Like
my back.
Never ever do this. Never ever do this if you're a pro wrestler. Like you know those videos that say don't try this at home before those before those tapes would start. Like they especially would need it before this pay-per-view.
AEW needs those in general.
Yeah, Swerve with a really cool looking swerve stomp through a table, which honestly looked a bit contrived because of the setup that it took to actually do the swerve stomp through a table, because Hangman was holding himself up in order for Swerve to hit the move. It was a cool spot, very innovative, but again, it felt like it took too much setup to actually execute. It's Page with a Deadeye for 2. Page then pulls out a piece of burnt wood, which I legit thought was a shoot knife, and Page tries to stab Swerve. Like yeah, it did look like a shiv. Yeah,
he tried to do that. Apparently, it was burned remains of Swerve Strickland's house. Strickland then grabs this shiv and proceeds to stab Hangman with it repeatedly in the head. This match was very hard to watch.
Yeah, this was very reminiscent of, actually, I'm going to pull out my old NWA encyclopedia knowledge right here. There was a match back in the mid-'80s between Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA inside of a cage, and it was an I Quit match. And Magnum TA had like a wooden shiv very similar to what Hangman Page had, and drives it into Tully's head, and that's what makes Tully say I quit. So that's what this spot reminded me of. I remember that match from an old tape that I had from back in the day. So in any case, Swerve and Page, Swerve ends up getting the upper hand, and then he has the wooden shiv in his hand from the burnt remains of his house, and he's about to burst into tears. At least it's not a friendship bracelet that he's so pissed off about. This man burned down his house. So at least I can warrant the emotion here this time. So yeah, the power bomb onto the cinder block happens. Swerve somehow kicks out at 2 after the power bomb on the cinder block, and I'm like, fucker, stay down, man. Like,
how is Swerve Strickland still conscious?
I don't even know. At that point, I didn't even know what else they could have done in this match to try and literally kill each other. Like, that's what these men were trying to do. In storyline, they were trying to kill each other in the middle of this ring. Holy crap. So Swerve somehow again is making a comeback, leading to a couple of house call kicks, which Page is kicking out of. These men are just not giving up.
There is a reason why Swerve Strickland was called Killshot in Lucha Underground, because the house call, I have never seen a more accurate kick in my life.
Yeah.
There is a spot where Hangman is leaning up against the cage, and Swerve Strickland just comes out of nowhere and nails a fucking house call right to his temple.
Right to his temple, and then
ricochet.
Yeah. Hangman Page's head bounces off the steel cage after that house call, like one of those little bouncy balls that you would throw against the wall. Page uses a chair, hits a Deadeye slam. Page at this point is telling him to beg for mercy. Swerve is laughing at Hangman Page, a la Roman Reigns laughing at Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. Like saying, that's all you got for me, big man? That's all you got for me? That's all the cowboy shit you got for me? Bro? He's not Matt Riddle. He doesn't say bro, but this was another uncomfortable spot. So, you know how Swerve has that grill, right? Well, it's not there. It's not there anymore because Hangman pulled it right out of his mouth. What the hell,
let me
man?
Take you back to my middle school days when grills were all the things. Nelly, Paul Wall, Chameleonaire, all the top rappers of the day had grills. And me and my friend wanted to look into them. These things are fucking expensive and not worth your time, by the way.
Yeah.
But we were heavily researching into these things. And you know how you put these things on? You have to put metal prongs in between your teeth. And they wrap around your teeth.
Yeah.
They're like braces. So to rip that out of someone's mouth is very painful.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like a retainer.
Fucking brutal, man. It is. Well, I mean, like, pulling a retainer out that way, I don't think would hurt as much. Like, I'm just thinking of, like, Invisalign. You know, like, if you pulled Invisalign out of somebody's mouth in that forceful way, it would still hurt, but it's like, again, you know, like, your mouth is molded that way. So,
yeah. And again, these are metal prongs. You basically have to insert it into your teeth.
Yeah.
Now this spot. This is where I drew my line. I don't see what the point of this was. I have a very, very real phobia of needles.
Yeah.
Because Hangman Adam Page pulls out what they describe as a hypodermic needle, and he stabs it into the mouth through the cheek of Swerve Strickland. And I closed my eyes, I turned away. I have a very deathly phobia of needles. I cannot look at needles if it's a movie or a TV show. And I like to call pro wrestling my safe spot, as crazy as that sounds. So when they pull out something that is a little too close to home, I'm like, oh no, hell no. That was my hell no moment. I turned around, and then when it was over, I knew this spot was coming because this spot was spoiled for me. The needle wasn't, but this finishing spot was.
Yeah.
Hangman Page then grabs a steel chair, and he swung for the fences. And he absolutely annihilated Swerve Strickland with this chair shot. So
it was
the minute Swerve Strickland went down, referee called for the bell.
Knocked him out of the park, that's for sure. Swerve did not know where he was. The match could not continue from that point on. Hangman Page technically wins the match, but since it's lights out and unsanctioned, it doesn't count towards his win-loss record. So technically speaking, Hangman Page still has never defeated Swerve Strickland. After all of this.
After this match, the darkness of Hangman Page going up to the ramp, dropping to his knees, and just screaming at the top of his lungs in celebration. He was finally validated. Like his demons were finally dealt with. That he finally put down Swerve Strickland. And the pay-per-view fades to black after that. That is the most ominous finish to a pay-per-view I've probably ever seen in my life. This match was very good. I loved the storytelling, the psychology, and the lengths that these men went to inflict pain on each other. It was something else. And I understand if this match made you uncomfortable. Like I said, the needle was the line for me. I don't want to see needles in wrestling. Right. I don't understand how I make it through thumbtack spots and barbed wire spots, but just a straight up syringe. Go check out our buddy, Good Mic Work. He did a little breakdown of this match, and I think he put it into words better than I ever could. When it comes to the question, did AEW go too far? I do agree with Greg in the sense where it's all about personal preference at the end of the day. I don't want to see this stuff every pay-per-view. If you want to bust it out for these big-time feuds, I understand. I think about more of the health and the safety of the wrestlers more than my own comfort. And when it comes to that, I think the cinder block spots were a bit more like, you sure you want to be doing that? A needle is a needle. He's not injecting them with poison. He's not, injecting them with heroin. And I think the cinder block spot, and especially the steel chair spot.
Yes. Yeah. So here's my thing. In terms of whether or not AEW went too far, again, it's all based on personal preference. I, like Tomas, grew up with a very deadly phobia of needles, but once, COVID was, starting to, rage through our world, I was inching for a vaccine. Like,
same here.
I wanted that fucking needle in my arm as soon as I possibly could, which sounds really weird when I put it that way. But once I got fully vaccinated and everybody was out in the world, I'm so thankful for vaccines right now.
Me too.
I'm so thankful.
I gritted my teeth and got the vaccine because I knew
it
was for the greater good and it helped me overcome my fear in that moment.
And
let me give you some better examples. I will never give blood.
Yeah.
Going to the hospital and getting an IV in me, I have to psych myself out very much to do that. And yeah, blood tests, those are the bane of my existence. And yeah, just seeing needles in general is just like, oh, no, thank you. I'm going to walk out.
No, thanks. Yeah, no, it's, and the COVID vaccine itself didn't necessarily hurt as much. Like, you know, I felt like a little pinch in my arm, but that was it. You know, like I could get pinched in my arm all day, but I think it all depends on like your tolerance on like how you perceive needles right now. If you draw the line at syringe, that's totally cool by me. I was more cringing at the cinder block stuff, if I'm being completely honest, because if that was actually a shoot syringe, that actually kind of helped numb the pain for a fucking chair shot to the head in God's Year 2024. Because
that magnitude, yeah,
that's a brutal ass chair shot. Like if you look at it, like
nowadays, even WWE has like kind of, okay, you know, if you want to throw a chair at someone's head, if you want to throw someone headfirst into a chair, yeah, you can do that.
Right.
But when was the last time you saw a straight up Eddie Guerrero JBL 2004 chair shot like that?
Probably since that match.
You're in Hell in a Cell 2005 shot.
I mean, I think the Eddie chair shot was worse because he legit
to that magnitude. Or we're not there yet, but Mr. Kennedy and The Undertaker at Survivor Series 2006 kind of chair shot. It's been a very, very, very long time for a reason.
Since pre Benoit tragedy.
Yeah.
You know? So it's headshots, chair shots to the head don't really have a place in wrestling right now, so I get why you draw the line at that as well. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I mean, the cinder block stuff was a stretch, but I'm like, you end the match with a chair shot to the head, that's as far as you can go. It really is, you know, and I don't know how much farther they can take it in terms of the violence if they were to do something else.
Remember last year after their Texas Death Match when we actually pitched the steel cage? But one of our biggest issues was what could they do in that they couldn't do in this?
Yep, I do remember that.
This prove that. I'm going to give this match 4 3/4 stars because, as ironic as this is going to sound, for as brutal as this was, yeah, there was blood, but the blood didn't flow. By the end of the match, they were pretty clean base.
Yeah.
So I feel like, as brutal as this was, I wanted to see the aftermath of the brutality, and without the blood post-match, I don't want to say it hurt it, but it was just like it wasn't present. I still thought the match was fantastic, and this is a great way to end the blood feud. In my opinion, this should be the end.
Yeah.
This should be the end. I don't want to see these guys bringing knives into a match. I don't want to see them doing any New Jack shit. This should be the end of this feud. And I cannot think or fathom another match stipulation that these guys could do that would push the boundaries as far as they did with this trilogy.
A dog collar match. A strap match.
This should be the end.
I don't know.
This should be the end.
I think for all those reasons and more, the Texas Death Match was better than this one, technically speaking. So I'm going to give it 4.5. You know, it gives you exactly what it's advertising. Like if you watched that Texas Death Match live in living color, like you knew what you would expect going into an unsanctioned version inside of a fucking cage. Like they give you exactly what they advertised. So I can't really fault them for that.
The cage match where feuds go to die. And that's how I feel about this. This is where the feud went to die.
Yep. Just like at Bad Blood, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre going inside Hell in a Cell like we all predicted.
Let me say this now. I don't want to hear one of you motherfuckers saying, oh, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre didn't do this. Like, no, I don't want to see Punk and McIntyre doing any of the shit that was done in this match.
No, no, because Punk and McIntyre, no. If Punk knew that this stuff was happening, he would have shut it down instantly. Like he would have been like, this is fucking dumb. That's a real cinder block. You know, you're gonna scrape your back. You know,
needles.
You're gonna blow our sponsor with Pfizer. You're gonna blow our sponsor with Johnson & Johnson and do all this stuff. Like, no, don't do it.
I'm gonna give All Out 8.5 out of 10. This was a very enjoyable show, and All Out 2 years in a row has been a fantastic show. I think to last year with the amazing Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs match that we got, to the amazing strap match we got between Ricky Starks and Bryan Danielson. And I don't know what it is when AEW throws together a pay-per-view card like this, it is really good. And this show was very good.
I'm going to go 8.75 out of 10. I think as a follow-up to All In, I think it was excellent. And the fact that it went the dark route, whew, yeah, give me more darkness. Maybe not like actual syringes or cinder blocks, but give me more of this darkness. Like, you know, because that's how you're going to get some really effective long-term storytelling. Before you get the satisfying gratification in the ending, you got to go through some dark shit to get there. So, yeah.
You do.
With that in mind, yeah, we're not going to talk about an AEW show for a little bit. Wrestle Dream is coming down the pipeline. It's the second year in a row. It's in the wonderful state of Washington, home of the 2-0 Seattle Seahawks. We also, we got Backlash 2006, and that is probably going to be the last show in this studio for me, because I'm working on moving out. Finally, it's the end of an era. So, again, I appreciate...
Let me ask you something. Is the blood actually bad?
I mean, it depends. What type of blood is it? Is it O negative? Is it B positive?
What blood type are CM Punk and Drew McIntyre?
I don't know. It probably has, both of their blood probably has, some of Mindy's bakery goods in it. So, probably. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that joke. But anyway, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up. Also, if you want to see more wrestling content from us, we would love to have you here. This channel's on the march to 2,000, so any help to get there would be very much appreciated. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Commence that back talk. Talk to you guys soon.